The same $5,000 borrowed twice. Borrowed as part of a student loan at 7% a year, it costs about $350 a year in interest, and it buys a skill that can raise your salary for decades. Borrowed on a credit card and left unpaid at 2.5% a month, it costs $1,500 a year, more than 4 times as much, and what it bought is usually already eaten, worn out, or forgotten. Same amount, same borrower, even. One loan quietly builds you. The other quietly drains you. Today, how to tell the two apart before you sign anything. Meet Leo. He is 24, 1 year into his first job, and he carries 2 debts. In his head, they're the same kind of thing: loans, installments, monthly cuts from his salary. An installment, by the way, is just a fixed amount you pay back on a loan every month. Debt number 1. The student loan that paid for his degree, $20,000 at 7% a year, and that degree landed him a job paying about $3,000 a month. Debt number 2. $5,000 sitting on his credit card, a phone upgrade, a few trips, one holiday season that got away from him, on which he pays only the minimum due. 2 debts, one blur of payments. But one of them is building his future, and the other is quietly eating it, and nobody ever taught him how to tell which is which. So let's talk about fire. Borrowed money is fire. Inside a stove, fire is one of the most useful things humans ever tamed. It cooks your food, boils your water, warms your home. The same fire, loose in the house, destroys everything it touches. And notice, no sensible person argues about whether fire itself is good or evil. The flame is never the question. The question is always 3 things. Is it contained? Does it have a purpose? And can you put it out when you choose to? A good loan is a stove. It is contained, a fixed amount, a fixed rate, a fixed end date. You can name the month it will be gone. It has a purpose. It buys something that grows in value or grows your income. A degree that lifts your salary. A home that replaces decades of rent. Sometimes a vehicle that makes your work possible. And it is controlled. The interest rate is low enough that the thing it builds has a fair chance of outrunning the cost. Leo's student loan passes all 3 tests. It has an end date. It bought earning power. And 7% is a price his new salary can realistically beat. A bad loan is fire outside the stove. It has no container. A revolving credit card balance has no fixed end date. It can smolder for years. It has no purpose you can point to. The money went into things already consumed, and nothing it bought is still building value today. And it is not controlled. The rate is so high that almost nothing you could have bought with it grows fast enough to keep up. Revolving credit card debt typically costs 20 to 40% a year, depending on the card and the country. Payday loans and instant loan apps can cost even more once every fee is counted. At those rates, the fire spreads faster than most salaries can carry water. Now let's weigh Leo's 2 fires with numbers you can check in your head. His card charges 2.5% a month on the unpaid balance. 2.5% of $5,000 is $125 every single month. That is $1,500 a year, a 30% yearly rate. And because unpaid interest gets added to the balance and starts attracting interest of its own, the true yearly cost creeps even higher, closer to 34%. Meanwhile, $5,000 of a student loan at 7% costs $350 a year. Same dollars borrowed. The card burns more than 4 times as much. One more way to feel the difference. Divide 72 by the interest rate, and you get roughly how long a debt takes to double. At 30%, an untouched card balance doubles in about 2.5 years. 72 divided by 30 is roughly 2.4. Left alone, $5,000 becomes $10,000 before the phone it bought is even out of date. Then there is the minimum due, the card's most comforting and most dangerous button. Say Leo's minimum due is 5% of the balance, $250 on his $5,000. He pays it, feels responsible, and moves on. But look inside. That payment, $125 of it, fully half, was simply the month's interest. Only $125 actually reduced his debt. At that pace, the balance shrinks so slowly that over the years, The interest he hands over can pile up to nearly as much as the $5,000 he borrowed in the first place. The minimum due is not a repayment plan. It is the fee that keeps the fire burning politely. Here is a tool worth keeping for life. The interest rate ladder. Line up every kind of loan by its yearly rate, lowest rung at the bottom. Near the bottom, typically, mortgages, home loans, because the house itself stands behind the debt. Just above them, student loans and other secured loans backed by something you own. On the middle rungs, vehicle loans, then personal loans. Near the top, credit card revolving debt at 20 to 40% a year. And hanging above the ladder altogether, payday loans and instant loan apps, with a true cost, fees included, can climb far higher still. The exact numbers shift with time, with country, and with your credit history, but the order of the rungs almost never changes. And there is a pattern hiding in it. Lenders charge the least when the loan stands behind something solid and lasting, and the most when the money simply vanishes into spending. The lower the rung, the more likely a loan can be a stove. The higher the rung, the more certain it is loose fire. Where do people go wrong? 3 places, and all of them are understandable. Mistake 1. Judging a loan by its monthly installment instead of its rate. An installment that fits your salary feels safe. The flame looks small. But a small installment stretched over many years at a high rate can quietly cost far more than a larger installment at a low rate. Before signing, always ask for 2 numbers: the yearly interest rate and the total amount you will have repaid by the end. The installment tells you whether you can breathe this month. The rate tells you what the fire eats every year. Mistake 2. Treating the minimum due as if it settles the bill. We opened up that payment and saw the truth. Half of it was interest, not repayment. If the full bill is genuinely out of reach some month, pay every dollar you can above the minimum and pause new spending on the card until the balance is gone. And a related trap deserves its own warning. Borrowing from a new app to repay an old loan. That is not repayment. That is lighting a second fire to manage the first. Mistake 3. Deciding all debt is evil. Some people, often after watching a family member struggle, refuse every loan for life. But that can mean turning down a degree that would have lifted an income for decades or draining an emergency fund. We have a whole video on that cushion, instead of taking a cheap contained loan. Fire loose in a house is a disaster. Refusing to ever light the stove has its own cost. The goal is not zero fire. The goal is fire only inside stoves. So what can you actually do? For steps. First, before any new loan, ask the stove questions. Will this purchase grow my income or my assets? What is the rate, and what is that in dollars each year? The rate times the amount. Is there a fixed end date? Strong answers to all 3. Possibly a stove. A weak answer to any one of them. Pause and sleep on it. Second, draw your own ladder. List every loan you currently carry, highest rate on top. Pay the minimum on everything. Then aim every spare dollar at the top rung until it's gone. Clearing a 30% debt quietly does for you what almost no investment can. Every dollar of interest you no longer owe is a dollar you keep with complete certainty. Third, decide that your credit card is a convenience, not a loan. Spend on it only what you can clear in full when the bill arrives. The card's fire stays inside the stove on one condition: the balance touches 0 every month. Fourth, with payday loans and instant loan apps, slow down on purpose. Before tapping yes, find the total yearly cost, interest plus every fee, and place it on your ladder. If it sits above the top rung, you already know what it is. So fire. Borrowed money cooks or burns depending on 3 things: containment, purpose, and price. A stove loan has an end date, builds your income or your assets, and sits low on the interest rate ladder. Loose fire has none of those, and it spreads. Light flames. Only inside stoves, and put out the highest flame first. Our question for you: what is the highest interest rate you have ever paid on a loan? And did you actually know the number when you signed? Tell us in the comments.